everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Tasha or Tasha Ann if you have not been here before, or if you haven't been here for a while and you need a new reintroduction. This is Flosstube number 5 or 6, I'm pretty sure. I never get that right, so we're just going to roll with it. I'm hoping to start doing a Flosstube every month, so this will be for the month of July. Sorry if you guys hear cars, like one going by right now, fireworks, or my AC turning on. Those are some loud things that can happen, but we're just going to roll with it. Hopefully I can get this edited and up. But I have made notes today, so hopefully it goes well. So I'll start out. I'm going to go through a few different things. So I'm going to talk about my current WIPs, and I'm going to put them in reference to closest finish to least amount of progress. And they are ones that I'm currently working on at this time. So hopefully we can get through all that today. And then I wanted to go through one future start. Hopefully I hope to start very soon. A new plant. You may have seen, I do love plants, so I wanted to start bringing that up, as well as a thrift store find, because I love going to thrift stores and antique malls and stuff like that, so I figured I would throw something in there. So we'll go ahead and get started. And I'll hopefully be able to put timestamps in the description. Yeah, that's what it's called, description. So that way if you want to go to specific parts. So, alright, so my first work in progress is nearly done. And it is, I practice Stitchcraft by the Witchy Stitcher on Etsy. I believe most of my projects can either be found on Etsy or their antique pamphlets that I found. So this again is the one that I am closest to finishing. And I'm going to pop a picture up right here of what it will look like when it's done. And it is currently in a project bag my mom made me. It's of astrological charts. So, and the inside is like a marble. And this is how far I am on it. I literally only have the bottom, and there's extra thread. I'm sorry about that. I have the bottom of this bobbin to do, and then I don't plan on doing the skull in the middle. I plan on just doing the needles and then framing this to go on my wall at work. So as you can see, I just have to push through and just do it. I'm just procrastinating at this point because I just don't feel like doing it. So that's that. That is the closest finished I have. All right, let's see. I have one next, but I actually think I'm going to go to the next one because I feel like this one's closer along, because the next one has a story after this one. So this is Flowers from Heaven, and it's Daffodil. So it's by a book called Angels Remembered, and I'll pop up a picture right here. I found this at a local used bookstore by chance. I love anything to do with angels, anything of that nature. So when I found this book, I was so happy. I cranked this project out, I'm telling you, and I just got tired of all the white in the dress. I was done with it. So I'll pop up a picture of the finish here. And this is how far I am on it. Look at that color. Like, you can see her wings, like the creases in her dress, her hair. And then when you get closer to it, like in person, it's not as defined, but when you pull it away, you can really see it. I'm really close on this. I really just have to finish her face, her dress, and I mean, her face is like 7 stitches, 10 stitches maybe. It's very small. And then the daffodil that goes up. So there's that. So it's just a little wooden needle minder that I have. This one's really close to finishing. I need to just do it again. Let me fix this so that way I can show you the bag. Again, it's another project. All these are project bags my mom has made me. So it's got this cloud pattern on the front and on the top, and then like a cream on the back. So, and that again is by a book called Angels Remembered. All right, the story time piece. This is based on the game Stardew Valley. I don't play a lot of computer games. Play Stardew Valley, Ooblets. That's about it, honestly. Those are the two things that I play. I've had this pattern since right when the pandemic happened. So 2020, at the end of 2020, early 2021. I've started this project 4 times in total. 4 separate times. I have proof of 2 of them. And I have them. This is why I have not shown you guys this so far in all of my WIP videos. Because I wanted to pull these out. So, this was my first attempt. And this is when I tried to start using a scroll. Scrolls and me don't get along. So, this was my first start. I got so far along, and then up here somewhere, the stitches just were not working. I was so frustrated. I was kind of new to cross stitch. Like, I knew how to cross stitch. I understood the mechanics and such, but like, I wasn't serious about it, and this was one of my first serious pieces, and I just gave up because I was like, I'm done with this. So, then on to the second attempt. Okay. Got a ton done. Look at that. This one, I think I misstitched, as well as I cut the margin way too close. There is supposed to be a cat and a mailbox here. I counted the stitches and it would be right here, and it would not look right when I finished it and framed it. And this is a big piece that I really wanted to finish, so I wasn't going to do that. So I scrapped it. I do not have proof of my third attempt. I don't know where it is. It's probably in the trash somewhere. This is my final attempt and the one that's sticking. And you'll notice a difference about this one too. It is still on the frame. I do not recommend this frame. Someone actually asked in a cross-stitch group that I'm on Facebook. They asked about the specific frame on Amazon. I do not recommend it. It's okay, but not for the price. Because, number one, the bottom, you have to use that wrench thing that it comes with to loosen and tighten these. So if you lose it, you're not going to be able to do it again. There's a car going by, so sorry if you guys can hear that. Second, there's supposed to be these little bubbles at the bottom to keep it steady on the table. Number one, all of my bubbles fell off. And number two, even when I got it, there was one missing. So I don't recommend it. But it's in this frame just because of how big the hoop is. It's just easier for me to handle, and it's a big project. So as you can see, I started at the bottom this time rather than the roof. The roof was giving me way too many problems. I was sick and tired of that pink, so I started with this. I'm also doing this on 14 count Aida, which the other two were, but those were white. And I actually have the scroll here, but hold on. I want to tell you guys what it is. It is the DMC Charles Craft 14 count. It's this special like thing that you can get at Michael's, and sometimes Joann's has it. And like, I have a green one, I have pink and purple, I have blue and yellow. So, and that's actually this piece, the angel one. That one's done on a yellow. So I really like this fabric. So that's what this is on. As you can see, I gridded this as well. This is when I found my love for gridding. It's not fun doing it, but it's great to keep up with. And you can see I'm very far along. So I just keep this on the frame just to keep hold of it. But this is my 4th and final attempt, and it's going to stick. And if I have to rip out stuff, I will, because I like this fabric. I'm not wasting this fabric, and it's just really nice. So sorry about the pieces, but I just grab this every now and then when I'm in the mood. It's random, really, but I might show it next time. I might not. Again, it depends on how much I use. I'm using a paper pattern with this, and what I actually do is I keep it on this little spot behind me. So this is the same cubicle that I showed how I store my floss and stuff like that on it. This is what this is, so I just keep this right up here at the very end. And what I do with the bag is I use these clamps and I clamp it to the back of it and I push it back. So that way it's always there. And this is another project bag my mom made me. It's got little crosses. And then I'm using, there's some of the pattern here. I'm using these floss cards, I guess that's what they're called. They were on clearance at Hobby Lobby, so I got quite a few of them. So I got that done. There's another car going by, if you can hear it. So that's fun. That is a story time piece for sure. All right, and that one is called Stardew Valley Home Sweet Home, and it's by Stitched to the Past on Etsy. However, they no longer sell on Etsy. I've looked, I'm still able to download the pattern and stuff like that, but I'm not able to like buy anything else from them. And they had some really cute patterns, so I'm not sure what happened, but it was PDF downloadable and everything. Can't tell you how many times I've downloaded that pattern, so. All right, sorry about that. So I had to charge up my camera again, and I'm going to hopefully snip this together to where I'm not repeating myself. So I'll go back to Narnia and the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Hopefully I can stitch this together properly. So, all right, so there's a long story behind this. I'll try to make it as brief as possible. And I think also I'm cutting my head off in the meantime. So also sorry if the positioning is different. So I have to take my camera completely off the tripod to get the battery out. So, all right. So I found an awesome seller on Etsy that did all of the Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, The Last Battle, The Magician's Nephew, all of those, as cross-stitch patterns. And it's based on the old covers of the 1970s version of the Chronicles of Narnia. Now, that is important to note, because that's what comes into play with this next piece that I'm having issues with. So, I've always been a fan of the Chronicles of Narnia. When I was younger, my mom bought me the BBC version of the videos, which includes The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Prince Caspian, Voyage of the Dawn Treader, now the AC is going to come on, Voyage of the Dawn Treader, and then The Silver Chair. And I watched those, and then the English version came out of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and Prince Caspian. I remember I was in 4th grade, I think, when the English version came out. Well, the English, I keep saying that, American version. And I was not a fan. Still am not a fan to this day. Still don't like it. I enjoy the BBC version. So, with that being said, I grew up, and I have the books here. I grew up with this version. This is the Scholastic's version, and this is the cover of it. Now, usually these are sold in sets. I have the whole set. It was interesting. I bought this as, well, my mom bought this for me because of the fact this is not my original copy. Don't know where my original copy is. But I bought the set, and then I'll show you guys a piece here in a little bit about Narnia. But then I realized that half of the map was missing from this book. So that's great. I'm going to have to buy a new one of this one. But in this version, it has The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe as the second book. The first book is The Magician's Nephew, which this is actually a different copy. This is the colored version, which if you're younger, you probably know of this version because it's crisper. And it's got the colors in it. And all of the versions are like this, I'm pretty sure. I know The Magician's Nephew, I know Prince Caspian, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, and The Lion, the Witch, and Wardrobe are all like this. So I have 2 of these. I'm collecting the others because I didn't grow up with these. So I grew up with this, and I love this series, but I never read The Horse and His Boy or The Magician's Nephew. Never read those. Or The Last Battle. I read this one, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Prince Caspian, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, and Silver Chair. Those are the ones I remember reading. So, I'd never read The Magician's Nephew. Now, like I said, in this version, The Magician's Nephew is first, because it's a precursor. However, when it came out in the 1970s version, I actually don't remember when the exact date of the publication was. The publication order was The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe was the first book. The Magician's Nephew, which with this version is the first book, is actually the last book. It's on publication order, which there's a lot of debate about that. I'm in the 1970s version. I believe that you should read it in that order. There's a great video about this. I will link it below. It's by Into the Wardrobe, and they explain what the difference is between the two orders and why it's important. For me, I'm for the 1970s version. I didn't even realize it because I didn't even know that was a version, because I read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and then I read The Magician's Nephew, and it blew my mind. And now I know why C.S. Lewis wrote it the way he did. So, that I do not recommend reading The Magician's Nephew first. So, this is what I grew up with. This cover. Okay. So, now the AC's off. Now, this pattern that I bought, it has all of, you have to buy each pattern separately for each book. So, I bought The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe first. And I'd never seen the 1970s version. So, the 1970s version is similar. I've been trying to get my hands on it, but I have not yet able to. It's similar to this version, and you can still see I hate it when people put price stickers on these, because these type, yellow pages and all, this will rip the cover. And so I have to work on getting that off. So I was able to find this at an antique mall. So it looks similar to this. The difference is it's got the same art on it, but it's white around the edges. So I'll insert a picture here of this one specifically, which is the silver chair, and then the 1970 version. So as you can see, they're similar. I actually don't have it. Give me 1 second. Here we go. So, 1970 version. Scholastic version. See the difference? Okay. So I'm used to this. So when I saw this version of the book, I was very confused, which sent me down the rabbit hole of finding out there was different versions. So, when I first started this pattern, I thought it was odd that the doors of the wardrobe were yellow. Insert a picture here. So I decided, I should change the color of the wardrobe to brown, okay? And then I had this fantastic idea of stitching it on brown fabric. And then as I got further along, I realized the 1970s version was white for a reason and why it looked the way it did. I hate this combination, and I'm debating on continuing this pattern. I've gotten a chunk done, which is really sad, honestly. And I will probably eventually, if I don't continue this, I'm going to rip it out. Because I really like this fabric. It's a brown, like cafe of, from Hobby Lobby. So, yeah. Yellow door. I do not like the way the purple is clashing with the brown. I don't like the way the yellow is clashing with the brown. It doesn't vibe. So, I'm debating on scrapping this and starting over, which, it's not the worst. Stardew Valley, that was bad. This, So, let me know in the comment section below what you think of this. Should I just continue and then do another version of the white? I don't mind stitching this twice, honestly, but do I continue on this is the question. I've already gridded the fabric, all that kind of stuff. So, that is the story behind The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. It continues from there too, but yeah, so I'm a big fan. You're going to see that a lot on this channel. That and angels. Two big things. So, all right. The next piece is, let's see. It is, okay. Oh, and also The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, I'm not sure if I've already said this, is by Smarty Owl on Etsy. And they have all of the versions. So if you're interested, go check them out. I'll link them below because I love their stuff, for sure. So, the next piece is a recent start. I'm talking within the last week and a half, 2 weeks. So, I started this and I've been taking it to work a lot. And it is from, let's see if I can find the cover, For the Love of Cross Stitch, this version. I think this is, what episode is this? I think this is the first one. Because I remember looking it up, and I was trying to find it, because I found this at an antique store. Yep, Volume 1, Number 1. There it is. So, and I'm sorry if I'm sniffly, guys. That's going to happen. So, I was looking through this, and what drew my attention was it talks about the author, which is Mary Vincent Bertrand. I don't know how to say her name. I apologize. And then I saw that it has a recipe on the bottom. So I'm going to make this recipe. And then I saw this and I thought, oh, that's so pretty, you know, so I wanted to make it. But then I get to the pattern, right? And this is the one that I was able to find on the internet. Okay? I was not able to find this on the internet. Then it's the next one. I'm going to cover up the key. It's almost the exact same, but it's in a little pot and it's on a little dolly. And there's a whole story behind the actual, like, this is cross stitch, but this is based on a pretty picture. That's what it's called, pretty picture. So I love this vibe. It's just, it screams yummy to me. So I started this, and again, I have not been able to find this one with the dolly and stuff online. Only in the magazine, and then I was able to find this available on Etsy without the dolly and stuff. So, and I'll show you how far I've gotten with it. And this is just like an off and on that I'm really enjoying. And here we are. So I've got a good chunk of the pot done, and the dolly, which is really nice, and it's gridded because I learned that I need to grid. So, and it's got a little Beatrix Potter needle minder. I have looked for this, and the seller has stopped selling this. However, I found similar ones, so if you're interested in Beatrix Potter needle minders, I'll include those below. Big fan of Peter Rabbit and all that kind of stuff. So I have all the VHSs with the stories and stuff. I'm talking VHSs, like the tapes that you put in, not DVDs. So, I forget what her name is, though. I feel so bad. I think it's Miss Thimblemouse, something like that. I'll put her name up here on the screen. But I've gotten pretty far with this. This is the first time I've used this kind of hoop. I did not have a hoop that was suitable to start this piece. And for me, I really hate the creases on my pieces when I move the hoop. So if I don't have to move the hoop, I won't. Or I'll wait until the very last minute. So with me, I'm going to go all the way up till I can't go anymore, and then I'm going to move it. Some people's like, well, why can't you iron it? The pen that I use to draw this on is erasable by heat. So if I iron this, all of them go away, and I don't feel like drawing them back on. So there's that, and I have a nice little border of how big it's going to be. So really enjoying this piece. It's really nice and pink and pastel. All right, this is another small piece that I actually had to restart because I completely miscounted even though I gridded the fabric. I do not have my start. I threw it away. It's a small piece. It is Sweet Pansy, and it's the Pansy Reef, so it's the one down here at the bottom, the very smallest one, and it's by Diane Brakefield, and I found this again at a thrift store. And I just wanted to do something really small. That was cute. So I started it. Again, it's a very small piece. And I don't even have a needle minder on this. My needle's on the corner. But I've gotten quite a bit done, honestly. I finished all that green, all those purples. So I try to go color by color since it's so small. So enjoying this. Again, this is something that I take to work with me. All right. Now, back to Narnia. This is my newest start and my final WIP that I'm going to show you guys. And this is the Narnia map. So, this is why I was looking in this book for the other page because I wanted to compare. And I couldn't. Now, online it's correct. So, it is the Narnia map of Narnia by Fantasy and Stitches. And I also realized, let's see if the silver chair has it. You're like, why don't you go to the next book? Because the next book's different. So this is the silver chair. So see, this map is totally different. It's because it's a different part of Narnia. So there's that. I'm not even sure if the old versions have the maps in them. No, they have pictures, but no map. And I'm talking like this kind of picture. So I found a seller on Etsy, and I just bought this the other day. And I gridded my fabric, and I started it. So I will post a picture here of the final piece. And which way does this go? Right here. This is how far I've gotten with it. So I've done the gold border and a little bit of the top. And yes, some of my corner is cutting. Again, I wanted to go ahead and start it. I didn't want to freehand it. And then I started on some of the island right here. And this is a little needle minder I made of a little squirrel holding, I think he's eating a clover. It's a little trinket from Hobby Lobby. It comes in like a set of 2 with, I think the other one was a mouse. And so I just Mod Podged a magnet to the back of it, and I thought this was really fitting for Narnia. So this is how much I've gotten done so far. Really excited about this piece. You would think it'd be big, but I mean, I've seen bigger, y'all. And I have put masking tape on the sides here, not over here. As you can see, I used, what is it called? I know what it's called. My mother uses them all the time. Pinking shears. That's what they're called. Pinking shears. I have a set. I pinking sheared all the way around, but I started to notice even with it being rolled up the way it is, it was fraying. And that was aggravating me so much because, as you can see, I don't have that much of a margin. And I wanted to use this piece. This piece of fabric is from Hobby Lobby. I'm pretty sure it's 18 count. No, 14. 14 count Ada. And it's called parchment, and it looks like a parchment. So for a map, I thought this was perfect. So I can't afford it to be fraying. So that's why there's masking tape on it. And then I just use these little clips that I also found from Hobby Lobby just to stick on there. So that is that. And that is my final WIP that I am currently working on consistently. Now, for my future starts. Yes, I have plenty of future starts I want to do, but I'll insert a picture here. I want to start on The Magician's Nephew. That book is just too amazing to me, and I'm so glad I read it in the order I did. I don't think it would have made the same impact. When I read that final chapter, I was blown away. Like, I had no sneaking suspicion at all of what happened. So you just have to listen to it. You have to read it, do something, because it, again, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and then The Magician's Nephew at the very least. I don't feel like any of the other books had an impact on The Magician's Nephew and me understanding it, but those two, totally, it just blew my mind. So I'm going to start on this pattern. It's going to be on white 18 count? Yes, white 18 count Ada. From the Artsy Zweigart. So it's from Hobby Lobby. So I got a lot of this, and also down here, you can kind of see it. My local Walmarts and a lot of Walmarts are having their 14 count Ada on sale and on clearance. So I got a bunch of that. I have some 18 count Ada from that, but I like this version better because it feels better, and I don't want to go to the hassle of washing and stuff like that. So those are my WIPs, my future work in progress, hopefully. And yeah, now on to new plant segment. So this pretty girl, and I'm trying to remember what I was going to name her. Pisces. I'm pretty sure it was Pisces. It was a star sign. I just wanted to name her a star sign. So, yeah. But she is beautiful. I found her at Lowe's, my local Lowe's. And it was funny. I was going to get another plant. I decided not to because $15 was just too much for me. And someone on the outside, my mom was buying some dirt for her garden. And I had already put my other plant back. And I saw this on top of the freezer outside. And I was like, that's strange. Why is there just a plant here? And I looked at the bottom, and it had the red mark through it, which means it was on clearance. I was like, what? And the only thing that was wrong with this plant was there was little brown edges. That was it. Nothing else. Now, I just killed a plant. Don't worry, I won't kill you because I learned from my mistake. I just killed this exact same plant that has been with me for about a year. It was in my bathroom, and I had one of those stick-in watering things. Like when it gets dry, it like sends the water down. I thought it was doing pretty good. And then I looked one morning, ignoring it, and I looked one morning and it had browned all the way up from the roots to like it had little green tips. That was it. I was devastated. I was upset. I looked in the middle, there was like white stuff, and I just pulled on one of the leaves and it just disintegrated, just pulled straight out. And I was like, okay, you're being thrown in the trash. No way. That will not happen to you. So this redeemed myself. It was 50% off. So it is a corn plant. That's what it's called, according to my Identify app, because there was no sticker on this or anything like that. So it doesn't tell me what it is. But it's considered a corn plant, also known as a happy plant. And the app I use is called Picture This, all one word. I highly recommend it. It'll help you diagnose plants. It constantly prompts you to pay for it. You can pay for it, but I've been able to use all the services without it. I just have to deal with it popping up constantly that I need to pay for it. So, yeah. Hopefully I don't kill this one. I won't kill you, I promise. But there she is. Now, I love going to thrift stores and antique malls, obviously with all my antique patterns that I like. So, I figured I would use a small little part of this segment to show you guys one thing that I bought at a Goodwill just the other day, which is this little pot guy right here. I fell in love with this. I have never, please focus, I have never seen anything like this before. And I will not drink out of it. I'm going to plant a plant in here, a small one, because I don't know what it's been glazed with. And the bottom has nothing on it except for right here it says BG. That's it. Which makes me think that this was hand done by someone. Obviously, if it was a company, they would have put it here. But it's just so unique, and I can't stop looking at it, honestly. Like, look at that. It looks like chocolate with like strawberry covering over it or something like that. It's so strange, but yes, it matches my shirt a little bit. So I've got to find a small plant to put in this because I just feel like this is going to be perfect. Maybe a hosta or something like that, something small. But I have a lot of hostas. I don't think I need any more, so hopefully I can find another one. But that is all I have for today, I think. Well, book talk. Okay. I've seen a lot of Stitchy YouTubers do book talk. For me, I have a problem focusing on reading right now. I'm trying to get better. I used to read a book a day. That's how fast I would get through it. When I was in high school, I was homeschooled. I had plenty of time for reading. I would just breeze through a book without any problem. Now my brain goes, so it's really hard for me to focus. Audiobooks are my friend. It's not the same as reading this. It's not the same as reading it, though. It's kind of like the movie book thing. Even though like you're actually just listening to the words coming off the page, it just doesn't feel the same. I am rereading the whole Chronicles of Narnia again because I wanted to read all of it again, and in the correct order, the 1970s order. And then I also wanted to start the Space Trilogy by C.S. Lewis. A lot of people don't know about it. It's making a comeback. It's a 3-part series. I'll post a picture here. A lot of you probably, if you've ever been to Barnes & Noble in that type of C.S. Lewis section, you've probably seen the cover where it's like a star and like planets and stuff, and it's the trilogy all in one. I found out about it when I found one of the older books that looked like this, and it said C.S. Lewis on the front. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And there was a planet on the front, so I bought it, and then I realized it was a series, and that was just the one book. Then I realized I had a newer version of the first book in the series. I was like, do I just buy these books and not realize what they are? Because it says C.S. Lewis, so I'm like, oh yeah, he's a good author. I'll just grab that and read it one day. So I am trying to collect all the old versions of these books, though. So those are my reading plans. But that's about it. I do pitter patter here and there on other places, but to read, but that's just off and on. So thank you guys so much for listening to me, and have a great rest of your day.